Hello there. This video series is dedicated to the topic of anthropogenesis. I'm going to introduce you to all kinds of human, starting with 20 million years ago. This spot we consider as the first human-like ape. Before I can start, I must warn you. First, I'm not an anthropology major student. I'm not a scientist in this field. My research belongs to another field. But I'm just a curious individual who wanted to understand human evolution back in the past. Year after year, every article I read, every video I watched, every lecture I analyzed, all together shaped my comprehension of this topic. Second, it's not really pop content. It might be solid, sort of harsh content. Throughout my videos, the citations of certain authors whose information I used will appear. The Codex of Scientific Society. Nothing but respect. As you're familiar with this, we can start. Welcome to Anthropology 101. Hello there. Du jour, our topic of discussion is Ardipithecus. So let's get started. So the next important point of human evolution takes place 10 million years ago, when the cooling covered all African jungles. It led to the formation of savannas, reducing the number of trees. And this was the reason for climbing to the ground in order to climb another tree. It was at this time, which dates back to about 5.8 to 4.4 million years ago, that Ardipithecus appeared. Ardipithecus were among the first bipedal creatures, although they did not walk as confidently as we do today. So far, only two species have been described, Ardipithecus ramidus and Ardipithecus kaddaba. More recent analysis based on canine size and lack of canine sexual dimorphism indicate that Ardipithecus was characterized by reduced aggression, and you can see it on this photo. Right here, the canines are more blunt, they have more rounded corners, but still kind of sharp. And Ardipithecus are more closely resemble bonobos. So, let's take a look at Ardipithecus ramidus. Skeletal fragments of this species were first discovered in the 90s. Their age was determined to be 4.4 million years. In 1992 to 1993, an expedition led by Timothy White found the first 17 fragments of Ardipithecus ramidus, including upper and lower jaws, teeth, and hand bones. By 1994, the remains made up about 45% of the complete skeleton, and the features of the leg bones indicate that it was a bipedal species. Further studies were conducted by Sileshi Semaw and his colleagues from the Stone Age Craft Institute and Indiana University in 2005. They found the fossilized remains of 9 hominids, aged from 4.3 to 4.5 million years. After careful analysis, the bones were found to belong to the Ardipithecus ramidus species. New fragments of jaws, teeth, and some bones of arms and legs allowed scientists to learn more about this species. Perfectly preserved skulls clearly show that Ardipithecus walked on two legs, so they were the ancestor of humans for sure. The Ardipithecine skull occupies an intermediate position between chimpanzees and further human species. Their canines are smaller and, what's more important, they are same in both females and males. This implies a lower probability of conflicts between males and the formation of strong pairs and mutual care for the offspring. Thus, fundamental reproductive and socio-behavioral changes probably occurred in hominids long before brain enlargement and the use of stone tools. So now let's talk about Ardipithecus kaddaba, the second species. This species was originally considered a subspecies of Ardipithecus ramidus, but was identified as a distinct species based on primitive features compared to the Ardipithecus ramidus. To be more precise, the shape of its teeth indicates a greater extent of aggressiveness. On the right part of this photo, you can see the canines of the Ardipithecus kaddaba and compare them to the canines of the Ardipithecus ramidus. And teeth of Ardipithecus kaddaba have more sharp corners than Ardipithecus ramidus. All remains were found in East Africa. But now Ardipithecus kaddaba is considered to be the direct ancestor of Ardipithecus ramidus. And you can imagine this evolutionary pathway by looking at this. Ardipithecus kaddaba lived between 5.8 and 5.2 million years ago. The species name means common ancestor of the family in Afar. It makes Ardipithecus kaddaba one of the oldest bipedal creatures with preserved legs and arm bones. The finds include the right half of the lower jaw, isolated teeth, a clavicle, fragments of two humeri and ulna, and two phalanges of the hand. The remains were found in Ethiopia near a river valley. The structure of the teeth, especially the canines, is intermediate between great apes and humans, but closer to humans. The structure of the long bones indicates an upright posture when walking. The analysis of the teeth of Ardipithecus kaddaba showed that it, like chimpanzees, was an omnivore. They ate leaves, shoots of plants, fruits, and berries. However, such an abrupt ecological step to becoming bipedal required a niche to be established, of course. This prompted Ardipithecus kaddaba to expand its diet. Instead of eating mostly fruit and soft leaves, like chimpanzees, there is evidence that Ardipithecus kaddaba ate a variety of fibrous foods. You might ask, how do we know they ate fibrous foods? It's fair enough, gotta appreciate this, but don't worry. The team of Ethiopian, American, and Japanese scientists has got an answer for you. So, the back teeth of Ardipithecus kaddaba are larger than a chimpanzee's, but its front teeth are narrower. This evidence suggests that this species did most of its chewing in the back of its mouth. This type of chewing would focus on hard-to-eat foods, like fibrous nuts. On the Ardipithecus foot, the big toe, like that of chimpanzee, is almost at the right angles to the rest of toes, unlike the human foot. At the end, I want to show you a skeleton of an adult woman called Ardi, Ardipithecus ramidus Yingqi. Particularly, these fossils had led to lots of discoveries and confirmations of the information I told you. For instance, until 2009, it was believed that Ardipithecus kaddaba was the oldest known ancestor of chimpanzees and humans. But now, after such a detailed study by Ardi, the time of separation of the chimpanzee and human lineages has been pushed back to 7 million years ago. So, in conclusion, Ardipithecus are the first creatures to take a step toward humanity. They still retained many ape-like features, but already showed signs of bipedal walking and behavioral changes. So, in conclusion, Ardipithecus are the first creatures to take a step toward humanity. They still retained many ape-like features, but already showed signs of bipedal walking and behavioral changes. Although they were not walking as confident as we are, but still. The remains are a valuable source of knowledge about what the earliest hominids were like, or what the beginning of our evolutionary journey looked like. They were similar to modern chimpanzees, unlike their ancestors proconsuls, who were more similar to monkeys. To illustrate, Ardipithecus ramidus had a small brain, measuring between 300 and 350 centimeters cubed. This is slightly smaller than a modern bonobo or female chimpanzee brain. They or their close relatives are considered to be the ones who started the divergence of evolutionary path of humans and bonobo chimpanzees, although it may have happened a little earlier. And this proves once again that the path from ape to human was gradual, complex, and long, and each such discovery brings us closer to understanding ourselves. And this is the pure beauty of anthropology. When I had been telling people that biological anthropology, which we learn now, can actually light some parts of our behavior and push to rethink our actions, some of them did not accept this, saying that biological approach has nothing to do with feelings or society. Well, of course, we have social anthropology, which focuses on the interaction between individuals. But I strongly believe and want to show you that biological anthropology does make a difference too. It is able to teach us a lot about ourselves. Understanding of how you, my dear listener, evolved can encourage you to change something. So here are the links I used for this presentation. You will find them in the description of the video. So right now, in this moment, I want to thank you for your time and keep learning.